Phase 1. The hook. Visuals. Grainy, Super-8 style footage of a lone man walking through a crowded, neon-lit city street at night. The colors are desaturated, reminiscent of a 1990s Japanese thriller. The man's face is never clearly seen. The audio is a low, atmospheric hum, like a distant air conditioner, mixed with the faint sound of rain. Voiceover. There is a unique kind of paralysis that follows a great failure. It's the silence after the explosion. The moment you realize the person you thought you were has died, but you, inexplicably, are still here. This isn't just sadness. It's a crisis of identity. A state of being I call the ghost shell condition. It's the feeling that your life story has ended, but the credits refuse to roll. You are an epilogue. A footnote. But what if this end is not an end at all? What if it is a violent, necessary prerequisite for becoming someone stronger than you could ever have imagined? Stay with me. Because today, we are going to learn how to forge a new identity from the ashes of the old. We will learn it from a man who fell from the top of the corporate world into the deepest shadows of the criminal underworld. And in doing so, found the path to his own salvation. Phase 2. The problem. Visuals. A montage of mundane, yet unsettling images. An empty office after hours, a single flickering fluorescent light. A coffee cup with a lipstick stain left on a desk. A phone off the hook, emitting a quiet, incessant beep. The camera lingers on these details. Voiceover. You know this feeling. Perhaps not from a catastrophic event, but from 1,000 smaller deaths. You built your life like a careful architecture of belief. The career was a load-bearing wall. The relationship, the foundation. The daily routines, the plumbing that made it all livable. You woke up, you performed your duties, you were someone. Then, one day, a tremor. Maybe the job you gave your life to vanished in a single email. Maybe the person you built your world around said, "I don't love you anymore." Or maybe it was a slower erosion, a dawning, quiet horror that the life you are living is a stranger's life. A suit that doesn't fit. The result is the same. The structure collapses. Visuals. A close-up on a photograph of a smiling family. The photo is slightly faded, sitting on a dusty mantelpiece. The camera slowly pushes in on the face of the father, his smile seeming hollow. Voiceover. And you are left standing in the rubble. The feeling is not grief, not exactly. It's vertigo. The ground is gone. The cardinal directions of your own mind have been scrambled. You look in the mirror, and the reflection is a ghost. It has your face, your eyes, but the animating force, the narrative, has been extinguished. You're a collection of memories and habits with no unifying purpose. This is the ghost shell. Think about that first morning after. The first day of unemployment. The first day of being single. The first day you admit to yourself, "I am lost." The alarm clock doesn't ring. Or if it does, it rings for a person who no longer exists. There is no script for this day. The silence in your apartment is deafening. Every object seems to mock you. The work clothes in the closet, the second coffee mug on the shelf. They are artifacts from a dead civilization. Your own. Voiceover. Here lies the hidden cost, the true danger of the ghost shell condition. It's not the failure itself. It's the story you begin to tell yourself in the silence that follows. The story is a simple one. It whispers, "It's over. You are broken. Your best self is in the past. What's left is just wreckage." This story is a poison. And if you drink it for long enough, it calcifies. It becomes your reality. The ghost shell becomes a permanent prison. You stop trying to build a new house, and instead, you simply learn to live in the ruins. But there is a way out. Not by repairing the old structure, but by leveling it completely. By taking a sledgehammer to the remaining walls and setting the debris on fire. It is a terrifying path. A path of willed self-destruction. A path that leads us to the rain-slicked, chaotic streets of 1990s Bangkok, and to a man they called Shogun. Phase 3. The solution. Visuals. A sudden shift. The screen is filled with grainy, overexposed images of Bangkok. Tuk-tuks weaving through dense traffic. Street vendors under flickering neon signs. The atmosphere is humid, chaotic, and dangerous. Voiceover. To understand how to escape the ghost shell, We must find a man who doesn't want to be found. A man who was once Choji Ochiai. In the late 20th century, Ochiai was the archetype of Japanese corporate success. A high-flying salaryman in a major trading firm. He had the perfect life, the perfect family, the perfect future. He was a pillar of the system. Then, the system failed him in the most brutal way imaginable. A senseless tragedy tore his family from him, and with them, his entire world. The man known as Choji Ochiai died that day. He walked away from his job, his country, his name. He fled to the one place where a man could truly disappear, the underbelly of Southeast Asia. Visuals. A shadowy figure, seen only from behind, navigates a crowded, labyrinthine market. He is clearly a foreigner, but moves with a purpose and confidence that sets him apart. Voiceover. But in the vacuum of that loss, something else was born. A legend. A fixer. A man who could get anything, for a price. A shadow warrior who operated by his own code in a lawless world. They called him Shogun. Otcho, the childhood nickname he would later reclaim, didn't try to piece his old life back together. He didn't go to therapy to process his grief as Choji Ochiai. He understood, on a primal level, a profound truth. You cannot repair a self that has been fundamentally shattered. You must build a new one. This is the core idea, the antidote to the ghost shell condition. It is the philosophy of purposeful annihilation. Purposeful annihilation is the conscious, deliberate act of letting your old identity die, completely and without sentimentality, in order to create the space for a new, functional identity to be forged. It's the difference between a mechanic and a blacksmith. A mechanic tries to repair a broken engine, carefully putting the old parts back where they belong, hoping it will run like it used to. But the ghost shell isn't a broken engine. The metal itself is fatigued, cracked, compromised. A blacksmith doesn't repair. A blacksmith reforges. He takes the broken metal, thrusts it into the forge, and heats it until it glows, losing all its former shape, becoming pure, liquid potential. Only then does he take it to the anvil and, with deliberate, powerful blows, hammer it into a new form. A sharper, stronger, more purposeful blade. Otcho didn't try to fix the salaryman. He melted him down and forged the Shogun. This process, this philosophy of purposeful annihilation, rests on three foundational principles. Voiceover. First, the principle of the clean slate. This is the hardest step. It requires you to accept that the person you were is gone forever. You must hold a funeral for your past self. You mourn them, you honor the good they did, you acknowledge their failures. And then, you let them go. This means a conscious severing of the tethers to that past life. Otcho didn't just quit his job, he fled his country. He abandoned the entire context that defined Choji Ochiai. For us, this might mean changing our environment, cutting ties with people who only see us as our past self, or eliminating the routines and symbols of that failed identity. You cannot build a new temple on haunted ground. You must first exorcise the ghosts. Visuals. A hand is seen burning an old photograph in an ashtray. The image on the photo is unclear, but the act is deliberate, ritualistic. Voiceover. Second, the principle of adopted armor. In the terrifying void left by your old identity, you will not magically find yourself. The notion of a singular, true self waiting to be discovered is a comforting lie. In a crisis, you don't find a self, you build one. Otcho did not wake up one day as a fully formed warrior. He adopted a persona. Shogun. This wasn't a lie, it was a tool. It was armor. A functional mask designed for a specific environment. The armor has a simple set of rules. It has a clear purpose. It allows you to act, to function, to move, even when the person inside is still hollow, still grieving. The armor is not who you are. It's who you need to be, right now, to survive the battle in front of you. You act as if. You act as if you are the shogun, the disciplined warrior, the stoic scholar. And through the repetition of that action, the armor slowly, imperceptibly, begins to fuse with your skin. The mask becomes the face. Visuals. A montage of Otcho's actions as Shogun. Quick cuts of him training, fighting, making a deal in a smoky room. His movements are precise, economical, and devoid of emotion. Voiceover. Finally, the principle of the proximal mission. The ghost shell thrives on grand, abstract, and impossible goals. I need to be happy again. I need to find my purpose in life. These questions are paralyzing because they have no immediate answer. Purposeful Annihilation rejects this. Your new identity, your armor, is not built on abstract philosophy. It is built on a foundation of small, concrete, and immediate actions. It is built on the proximal mission. The proximal mission is the answer to the only question that matters. What is the most important, difficult thing I can do in the next 24 hours? For Otcho in Bangkok, the mission was never achieve redemption. It was survive the night, secure the package, protect this client, win this fight. Redemption, purpose, and identity are not things you find by thinking. They are byproducts. They are the accumulated residue of 1,000 completed proximal missions. You don't think your way into a new life. You act your way into it. One brutal, simple, necessary step at a time. This, then, is the path out of the ruins. The clean slate gives you empty ground. The adopted armor gives you a tool to start building. And the proximal mission is the act of laying the first brick. And the next. And the next. Phase 4. The application, visuals, a return to a more intimate, instructional style. We see a notebook being opened on a dark wooden desk. A pen uncaps. The lighting is like a single lamp in a study late at night. Voiceover. This is not just a story. It is a strategy. A protocol for self-reconstruction. We can distill Otcho's journey into a practical framework. A set of instructions for anyone trapped in the ghost shell. Let us call it the Shogun protocol. It consists of 4 actionable steps. Visuals. The pen begins to write, Step 1. Declare the funeral, in the notebook. The handwriting is neat, deliberate. Voiceover. Step 1. Declare the funeral. This is a ritual. It must be treated as such. Your psyche needs a clear signal that a chapter has officially closed. Take a piece of paper. Write a eulogy for your past self. Don't be cruel, be honest. Write down the name of the identity that has died. The ambitious executive, the devoted partner, the promising artist. Acknowledge what was good about that life. Acknowledge its dreams. Then, write down exactly how and why it ended. Be specific. Do not flinch. When you are done, perform a symbolic act of burial. Read the eulogy aloud, and then burn the paper. This is not about forgetting. It is about containing the past. Then, follow this with a physical act. Box up the artifacts of that life, the awards, the old photos, the clothes you wore. You don't have to throw them away, but you must remove them from your immediate environment. Place them in storage, in the attic, somewhere out of sight. Curate your space for the person you are becoming, not the person you were. This is the act of clearing the ground. Voiceover. Step 2. Forge your armor. Now, in the cleared space, you must create your functional persona. This is your psychological armor. Ask yourself one question. To face the challenges of my current reality, who do I need to be right now? Give this persona a name. A code name. This sounds theatrical, but it is a powerful psychological technique called self-distancing. It creates a space between your wounded, emotional self and the functional, acting self. Are you the stoic, who faces adversity without complaint? Are you the scholar, whose mission is to relentlessly acquire a new skill? Are you the athlete, who is rebuilding their mind by first rebuilding their body? Choose one. Then, give this persona a simple, non-negotiable code of conduct. 3 to 5 rules. For example, for the athlete, 1. Wake up at 6 a.m. every day. No exceptions. 2. Engage in 1 hour of physical activity daily. 3. Fuel the body with clean food. No junk. This armor is your operational blueprint for the immediate future. It is not about feeling like the athlete. It is about doing what the athlete does. The feeling will follow the action, not the other way around. Voiceover. Step 3. Identify the proximal mission. Your armor is useless without a battlefield. You must now define your immediate objective. Every evening, before you sleep, you will define your proximal mission for the following day. It must be one single thing. It must be concrete, actionable, and difficult enough to create a sense of accomplishment. It is not, get a new job. It is, spend 2 hours researching companies and send out 3 customized applications. It is not, get over my ex. It is, go to the gym for 45 minutes and then cook a healthy meal for myself. It is not, write a book. It is, write 500 words. Write this mission on a note card and place it by your bed. When you wake up, it is the first thing you see. That is your only goal for the day. Before you allow yourself to be distracted by email, by social media, by the ghosts of the past, you must complete the mission. This practice rebuilds the most crucial psychological resource you have lost, your sense of agency. It proves to you, through empirical evidence, that you are still capable of imposing your will upon the world. Each completed mission is a small victory, a single brick in the foundation of your new self. Voiceover. Step 4. The vow of service. Survival is the first stage. But a life built only on survival is a fortress, not a home. The final, transformative step in the Shogun protocol is to turn your new skills outward. Otcho's journey from a hollow ghost to a true warrior solidifies when he begins to use his strength not just for himself, but for others. He protects the vulnerable. He fights for his friends. He dedicates his power to a cause greater than his own pain. The fastest and most effective way to escape the prison of your own mind is to be of service to someone else. Find a problem that is not your own and contribute to its solution. It can be small. Help a neighbor with their groceries. Volunteer at a local shelter. Tutor a student. Find one person whose burden you can make lighter, and do it. This act does 2 things. First, it gives your new identity, your armor, a noble purpose beyond mere self-preservation. Second, it breaks the cycle of rumination. When you are focused on an external problem, your own internal suffering recedes. It doesn't vanish, but it loses its power. It is no longer the center of your universe. This is the final stage of reforging. You melt yourself down, you hammer yourself into a new blade, you test your edge on small, daily missions, and then, finally, you point that blade outward, in service of something that matters. That is the path from ghost to warrior. Phase 5. The proof, visuals. We return to the world of 20th century boys. A montage of Otcho's key moments from the manga. Him training in the jungle. Him protecting a young Kana. Him standing side by side with his old friend Kenji, facing an impossible threat. Voiceover. We see the Shogun protocol written in every line of Otcho's story. He performs the ultimate funeral for his past self by fleeing Japan and becoming a nameless foreigner. He forges the armor of Shogun, a persona so effective it becomes a legend in the Thai underworld. His entire existence is a series of brutal, proximal missions, one day at a time, surviving by his wits and his strength. And his redemption, his transformation back into Otcho, the hero his friends needed, is catalyzed entirely by the vow of service. It begins when he decides to protect Kenji's infant niece, Kana. His purpose shifts from his own survival to her survival. This single act of service is the thread that pulls him back into the world, back to his friends, back to a cause worth fighting for. He didn't overcome his trauma by thinking about it. He transcended it by dedicating his life to a mission that was bigger than his memory. This isn't just the narrative architecture of a great story. It is a reflection of a profound psychological truth. Voiceover. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl documented this phenomenon in his masterwork, Man's Search for Meaning. In the concentration camps, he observed that the prisoners most likely to survive were not necessarily the physically strongest, but those who managed to hold on to a sense of future purpose. They were the ones who dreamed of being reunited with a loved one, of finishing a piece of scientific work, of seeing a child again. Frankl himself survived by imagining himself after the war, giving lectures on the psychology of the concentration camp. He had a mission. He wrote, and this is crucial, he who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. The ghost shell condition is the loss of the why. The Shogun protocol is a systematic, reverse-engineered process for creating a new one. It understands that you cannot simply will a why into existence. You must build it, brick by brick, through action. The vow of service is the final step, where you discover your why is not about you at all. The logic is undeniable. An identity is not a thing, it's a process. It's a story we tell ourselves through our actions. When that story is shattered by trauma or failure, we have two choices. We can try to tape the old, shredded pages back together, living a life of constant, painful nostalgia for what was lost. Or we can take the blank pages that remain and begin to write a new story. A better one. We can do what Otcho did. We can become the blacksmith of our own soul, and in the fires of our darkest moment, forge a blade sharp enough to cut a path into the future. Phase 6. The call to action voiceover. The armor Otcho forged for himself was Shogun, the silent warrior. It was the tool he needed for the world he found himself in. The question I leave you with is this. If you were to forge your own armor, your own functional persona to face a challenge in your life right now, what would its codename be? The scholar? The artisan? The phoenix? The stoic? Describe it, and its one core principle, in the comments below. Reading them helps us all understand the armory of the human spirit. Voiceover. If you believe that our past is a source of wisdom, not a life sentence, then you have found your tribe. Subscribe to Hello, Yesterday, and join us as we continue to search for the signals hidden in the noise of forgotten stories. The path of the Shogun is one of self-annihilation for the sake of rebirth. But sometimes, an identity isn't destroyed from without, it's hollowed out from within. To understand that terrifying process, you need to watch our deep dive into one of fiction's most chilling characters. Learn how a charismatic void can bend the world to its will in our video. Johann Liebert and the Charisma of the Void. The link is on your screen now. Until next time, remember, the person you were yesterday does not have to be the person you are tomorrow.